global happenings today. We communicate, we analyze global news. Stay tuned.
Hello guys, welcome back to our channel. What went down in Enugu, where IPOB members, a lot of them, that though the full figures have not yet fully been complied due to conflicting results or conflicting reports rather, but a lot of IPOB members went down on that day. It has generated a lot of reactions by Nigerians and also by one or two prominent Igbo men. One of the typical ones we know is Senator Alaigbo, who had called for an investigative panel to be set up to know exactly what went down and what transpired and why a disciplinary action should be taken. And he has went further to say that these are deaths too many in a southeastern zone and it needs to be curbed at the nick of time. Well, not just Senator Alaigbo that has started speaking up. Other prominent leaders from the southeastern zones have also started speaking up concerning the issue of insecurity, and they have made up their mind to resign where the case may be, as the ADF leader resigns from the Southeastern Security Committee protest over this whole issue. But before we go to the news proper and further analysis, we'd like you to subscribe to our channel by clicking on the red subscribe button. Beside it, you will see a bell notification icon. Please go ahead, click on it to get notified as soon as we update our channel on YouTube. All right, the president of Alaigbo Development Foundation, ADF, Professor T. Uzodinma Nwala, has resigned his membership of Southeast Security Committee. He said he took the decision because the pronouncement made by chairman of the Southeast Governors Forum, Governor Dave Umahi of Ebonyi State, abolishing the idea of regional security architecture for the Southeast, nullified the essence of the committee. Nwala alleged that the implication of Umahi's pronouncement is that the governors of the Southeast jointly rejected the idea of a regional security architecture for the entire Southeast and by extension the entire Alaigbo, and the fact that the so-called Southeast Security Committees set up since early 2020 and after several months nothing had been achieved means that it was not intended to serve any useful purpose. In his resignation, he alleged that in place of a regional security scheme for Alaigbo, the governors accepted the community policing program of the federal government. As you may recall, the community policing program had been rejected by the Southeast after Alaigbo Development Foundation, ADF, exposed its inherent character as a policy to encourage the continuous serial killing, kidnapping, as well as ensure the occupation of Alaigbo by the Fulani herdsmen. As you may recall also, ADF had compared the policy of community policing as equivalent to handing over the security of chickens to the hawks. Nwala stated that in opting out of the now moribund Southeast Security Committee, we in ADF shall continue to work with the various pan-Igbo organizations to advance all possible and legitimate means of ensuring the security of Alaigbo and her neighbors. He recalled that in a press statement issued by ADF in February 2020, they have stated unequivocally that the policing plan of the Nigerian police had been in operation in the Southeast, while the horrors and several parts of Alaigbo, including Ebonyi State, as depicted in the report of Chief Gary Igeriwe at the last IMEOB meeting, as well as that depicted in the report by Mr. Aduba, that's CP retired, at the joint meeting of IMEOB and the Governors Forum, rather than abating, have been rising in crescendo with our helpless people wondering if they have any government or leaders who care for their plight. That's serious. We continue. He now went further and said that this is not acceptable. Now look at this. Don't forget that barely 24 hours, yes, just barely 24 hours, the presidency came on via the spokesman Shehu Gaba, where he said that Amotekun, looking at the other partner, Amotekun, though has been established and duly backed up by the state governors and the state laws legislatures in their various states, in that region, southwestern region. And the presidency came via his media person, Cheugaba, said whether Amoteku or not, they are going to redissolve it and put it into the structure of community policing, of which some of the governors, like Alaikbo Akeredolu, the governor of Ondo State, has said, look, we created, or rather they created Amoteku not on the grounds of community policing. If they wanted community policing, they would have asked for community policing. But they created Amoteku to stand tall, and the laws of the southwestern states, individual states, they've been backed by law. So hence, they are not conflicted. Although Shehu Gaba said, look, we are going to still give the indigenous people the power to, elect, but it's going to be supervised by the Deputy Inspector General of Police, of which, Keredolu said, look, this can still be contestable. It can be contested. Now, looking at all this, despite the fact that Amoteku is up and running, the federal government, so to speak, wants it to align to, its community policing. Now, you probably will be wondering, what's the spectacle? What's the difference really from Amoteku the way it is and community policing? Why is ADF, that's the Umwala, gets resigning after us, it's not still the same security? If it's a community security, it's community policing that the southeastern governors are looking at, why is it not accepting the new policy? What's so spectacular about it? Well, there's a difference. The difference is the fact that while the community policing looks more like having federal character. What do I mean? For the now, IG is going to technically maybe reporting to IG, both may be reporting to IG actually, but the unique thing about policing, over time, the policing have always been in our community, all right, but the security system has still failed. Okay, Fulani herdsmen are having a few days. They rarely arrest Fulani herdsmen in cuts across the whole of the country. So imagine, ever since Amoteku, like using the case study of Amoteku now, ever since Amoteku has been up and running, at least Amoteku have, severally, either they have caught illegal mining, yes, in Osun State, or Osogbo in particular, where some politicians and ex-governors and the rest are actually into this illegal mining in Osun State, and they're the one bringing in the likes of foreigners like the Malians, the Nigerians, and the Ghanaians and the likes, and Chinese who come to mine and all that. These are internally generated revenue being wasted or lost via the virtue of corruption. Now, looking at what Amoteku did, Amoteku discovered that, and though they handed them over to the police and all that, but we all know how corruption situation in Nigeria goes. Eventually, when it gets to that position, it fizzles out. But imagine there was no Amoteku. Who would have known that such things exist in places like Osun State? But now, with the help of Amoteku, and also fairly recently, Amoteku was seen escorting some of the herdsmen out of Ekiti State when the farmers were trying to farm their land, cultivate their land. The herdsmen came with a whole lot of their cows. Thank God for Amoteku gently escorted them out of the city, out of the community, out of that village, and there was peace in the land. And this is one of the things that, probably because of the level of crime rate that is ongoing right now, is the hands of the police are very filled. So Amoteku being independent helps. While some people will say, what's really the difference between community policing and Amoteku, or regional security, as the case may be, is the fact that probably in future we will not get to hear things like transfer, where after it's not the same structure. They begin to say, okay, something like, I'm just preempting now, that something like, okay, if you people are having success story, why not let's take somebody from Osun State who have had this, okay, let's transfer Amoteku, or transfer community police from Osun State, let's put the person in Zamfara, and someone in Zamfara should replace him, the one in Osun State, which means that which the whole essence of trying to, cop your territory by being indigenous, maybe defeated. They will say, after all, it's still the same community policing. What does it? Are we not still one Nigeria? But if you make it the way Amoteku has made it, strictly indigenous, no transfer, run strictly by that state, either the stakeholders in that state, may not be done by governors alone, but stakeholders in that state, which means no foreigner can be transferred in and out of the state on the guise of transfer window or whatever. That way, the people are sure that their own people are keeping guard over them. Now, community policing will allow that. Okay, community policing will not allow that. But if you do the Amotekun style, then we are sure that the people are safe in the hands of their own indigenous people. But looking at all this, maybe Dave Umahi is not seeing it in that perspective. But Professor Uzodinma is saying, look, it's either we're doing the Amotekun regional security way or we don't do it at all. Let's look for some other alternative, because according to him, the security community policing has always been with the Alaigbo people, as in the Southeasterners, for ages, and there has not been any reasonable result over the matter. But that's where we're going to wrap it up. What's your take on the fact that Professor Uzodinma has said, no, I'm going to tender my resignation. In fact, I have tendered my resignation, because it's like we're joking here. Since early 2020, we are still perambulating, and eventually said, no, it's not going to be a regional thing. It's going to be a state policing thing. Don't forget, even the federal government right now has said quarter across the 36 states is going to be community policing. Already, Amotekun governors, I'm talking about the southwestern governors, are contesting it right now with the federal government. Let's see how it plays out. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Stay tuned for more updates.